Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yeah, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are radio for the local craft beer movement, broadcasting from Cherry Street Brewing Cooperative in beautiful Cumming, Georgia. I'm Aaron Williams.
And I'm Tim Dennis, and today, as Aaron mentioned, we're going to be talking with Cherry Street. We have Nick Tanner, we have Chris Williams, and we have Johnny Bradley joining us, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a good time and one of my favorite places to hang out. So we definitely enjoyed our time here at Cherry Street last time, and you celebrated quite a bit with those guys this week too.
Yes,
but,
enjoyed their festival. It was a good time.
Had a good time, definitely. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about those guys, and of course some big news in craft beer. We are going to talk about that as well. But first of all, again, we mentioned that you had a little bit of a fun time here at Cherry Street last week. What happened?
So I came down. They had their second Spring Beer Fest and Cornhole Tournament last weekend, so they take over the square. If you haven't been up to Cherry Street, so they've got brew pub up here that's got a nice tap room. There's a big open greens area in the center that they're in, so they took over the place, set up out there, had it roped off, let everybody come out, enjoy some games, some food, some beers. It was a good time. Lots of excellent Cherry Street brews on tap. They had some guest brews here, and I drank all of them twice.
All of them twice. That's good.
Yes.
That's actually good.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I wasn't able to join you, unfortunately. My wife actually had a really cool opportunity to go to Orlando to check out one of the new Disney adventure things that are going on. This at Pandora area at the Disney Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not an Animal Kingdom Disney guy, but it was pretty cool.
Your wife said you got to go to Orlando, and you go to Orlando.
I go to Orlando,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So I had to enjoy things there. I went to 1010 Brewing in Orlando. Went to a couple of different places. The Pig and Larder, I think, is the other one I went to as well. Which the Ravenous Pig. They renamed it. So that's a good place. There's a lot of cool stuff there, and also met a friend of the show, Daryl Langley, who's a brand new dad.
Yes, congratulations,
So congratulations, Daryl.
Cool.
Absolutely. So he got me hooked up with some Florida beers as well. So that was a lot of fun. It was a nice little quick trip there, but yeah, glad to be back and just kind of hanging out. So it should be good. So speaking of hanging out, let's take a look at what we've got for Truck and Tap's Beers of the Week.
Crack open a cold one. It's the Truck and Tap Beer of the Week. Woo-hoo! Craft beer and food trucks in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com.
This week we're drinking Cherry Street. Man.
Of course we are.
We're drinking Cherry Street, and I'm currently drinking their, if I get this right, Nick, Groovy Guava Love Child? Or?
Groovy Child Guava.
There we go. Groovy Child Guava. Very refreshing beer. Delicious beer. Nice guava in that. So Nick's broke out a few bottles for us here. We have his triple chocolate chunk that we're going to drink a little later, and that was a collaboration beer with the good guys over at Lincoln Fill Station.
Yeah, our buddies there.
And we also have a bottle of the coconut porter and the porter.
Sure.
Porter.
Easy for you to say.
Coconut porter.
Exactly.
We've got that. And Nick, what at D9 Brewing? Some
D9.
beers you want to share with us here?
D9's a brewery around Charlotte, I believe. They were so gracious to donate a handful of their sour beers for our beer festival that we shared in the VIP section this weekend. Extremely great beers, so we're going to taste a little bit more here in a few minutes.
Very cool. So as usual, we've got plenty of great beers to drink.
Definitely. I'm also having their Step and Razor, which is their Northeast IPA, which I enjoyed immensely. I had it at the Swanee Beer Fest, and I'm like, give me more of that. So
Thank you very
cool.
much. We
Absolutely.
worked really hard on that recipe over the past 6 months, so
Definitely.
we're real proud of that.
Very cool. So,
is it juicy?
It is juicy.
Okay.
Hashtag
there
juicy.
You go. Hashtag.
And juicy and hazy and all that good stuff. Exactly.
Right.
So we didn't want to spend a ton of time here doing the intros because there's some big news in the beer industry. So let's go ahead and get into our headlines.
What's in the news? The Beer Guys have the scoop.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for headlines. Sponsored by Your Pie Perimeter in the Perimeter Place Shopping Center across from Perimeter Mall.
So again, the entire internet and the entire craft beer community has gotten a little salty this week. With good reason.
Not a little, Aaron.
Actually, yeah, you're
Not
right.
a little.
I've gotten some high blood pressure from all the talk that's been going on. So yeah, it's been big. Wicked Weed, of course, the big craft brewery in Asheville. They are now part of the Ab-InBev family, the high-end part of the Ab-InBev. So again, they've quote unquote sold out to big beer, and it's been a big deal.
People didn't like that.
No,
they did not. So, and something we see here, Aaron, is a lot of these other breweries that have sold, they've had a lot of what I call crossover kind of mainstream drinkers.
Yeah.
The people that may not be the craft beer nerds, but they want to drink local or what have you, so they support the brewery.
You're talking like a Devil's Backbone, for example.
Sure, exactly.
Or something like that.
Even Terrapin. Terrapin's a good craft beer, but they had a lot of people that were just beer drinkers that drank their beer. Wicked Weed was very much a craft beer drinkers beer.
Yeah.
They that Asheville ethos, the craft beer ethos and that. And so I knew this one would not set well with people.
Yeah, they're famous, of course, for a lot of sours, a lot of barrel aged, and a lot of the quote unquote beer geeky beers that we have a lot of. So that was really big news for a lot of folks, and it's been interesting to kind of hear the reaction.
They've got in July they have their Funkatorium Invitational, and breweries continue to drop out of that. Both in Georgia, Creature Comforts and 3 taverns were invited to attend, and both of them said they will not participate. Brian Purcell at 3 taverns said, they just have to stay true to craft.
Yeah.
And support craft.
Yeah, I believe last count there was over 20 that I think
it was
dropped
about
out.
20. Wicked Weed made an announcement a little earlier this week that they will continue to have the Invitational. They're working on restructuring the beer list with the new breweries.
Yeah,
so.
much smaller. So it's been a very interesting kind of a stretch of news over this past week because, again, this is the first major acquisition of 2017 that we've seen.
Right.
And it kind of shocked a lot of people. Like you said, I mean, it's a big beer geeky craft beer type of thing. They've done a lot of collaborations with companies like Jester King and Creature Comforts and a lot of, again, really big names in the craft beer industry. And this kind of shocked a lot of folks, not only the drinkers themselves, but a lot of the breweries too.
Yeah, and the good news is that they will have the wine barrel aged Brett Clamato on at the festival.
That's
now,
great.
So,
the Black Angel Lime, is that going to be working
yes.
too? No,
absolutely.
We kid. But also another on that lines too. Lagunitas is another craft brewery. Just got officially bought out by Heineken just earlier this week as well. They, of course, Heineken had a stake in Lagunitas for a while, but they made it official, and now it's 100% owned by them.
Right.
Too.
They had 50%.
Yeah.
They said we're going to go ahead and get the other 50%.
Exactly. So another big one there. So it's interesting. We just mentioned craft beer. We mentioned Terrapin, and of course they're owned by Miller Coors now. There is actually some benefit to that. Actually, it's funny. The New Orleans Jazz Fest, of course, is going on, and it's this weekend. And Terrapin is now being served at the New Orleans Jazz Fest too. So they've got recreation ale in cans, and they've also got High Five IPA on draft too. So
really cool.
Yeah, so they it's a really good festival, and and like you said, it's kind of a catch-22 when you get bought out by a large company like this. You, of course, lose the soul of your company a lot of times, but you also get exposure to different markets and different distribution categories too. So
this could probably be a college course on just discussing the pros and cons of it.
Absolutely, because again, when you have a craft brewery, when you have your own local brewery, it's yours, and you really have an ownership stake in it when you're a beer drinker. And like I said, I mean, you can hang out with the brewer like we're doing right now with Nick Tanner and these guys here, drink their beer. You have a one-on-one relationship with them, and then when you find out that it's been sold to a quote-unquote big beer, you kind of lose that soul, and I think that really hurts a lot of folks out there too.
Nick, what's your personal take on it?
Well, it's a very tough decision, and I don't want to be ever put into that position. But really, it's a matter of you go into business for a reason, right? You're starting a business, and you want to grow that business, and you want to see your business go as far as it can possibly go. However, in the grand scheme of life, there are some businesses that are bigger than others and some businesses that take advantage of other businesses more than others. And I'm partial on the whole Ab-InBev buyout stuff. However, I believe from a long time ago where Terrapin went, I don't deny that. I mean, I see that as a positive thing for their company. And for Terrapin to be 100% taken over by Miller, at least it wasn't Ab-InBev. And that's my personal take is these other breweries in the world, like Heineken, even like and I'm drawing a blank
Pabst
now.
or Miller Coors or something.
The company that owns part of Founders
out of
Spain.
Forget the name of the company, right.
These companies have to continue to do some of these things to stay relevant overall against Ab-InBev. And so now it's actually like Ab-InBev against everybody, where like a couple of years ago you would look at Miller Coors and Heineken on the same level as Ab-InBev.
Yeah.
I don't look at them on the same level anymore, and especially now with the way that Ab-InBev owns Miller Coors, I think Miller Coors is really just trying to stay above water now.
Right.
And so if that's what they got to do and merge with Terrapin to keep relevant, that's a totally different decision than Ab-InBev buyout.
Right. Definitely. Of course, Ab-InBev didn't cause any fans a few years ago when they came that Super Bowl ad out, basically making fun of the craft beer.
Or when they did their bonus plan that was actually penalizing distributors for carrying craft. So
exactly.
Well, and to play off of that, so the Wicked Weed buyout is the first buyout since the Department of Justice approval of the Miller Coors buyout, which in that was a squash to that whole incentive program. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Department of Justice works through this whole brewpub brewery buyout.
Fun stuff. So we're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We could talk about this forever, but we need to take a break.
We may
so
go back
we need
to
to take a break. We will be right. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. This is a topic we could talk about forever, but we do need to take a break right now, and we'll be back very soon to talk with the crew from Cherry Street.
Have you ever thought about owning your own brewery, but don't know what it takes to get one built? We're CRL Contracting, and we build breweries. We are the most experienced contractors in the state of Georgia when it comes to building new breweries and tap rooms, or expanding current breweries. If you've been to Orpheus, Second Self, or Scofflaw, then you know what kind of work we can do. Just give us a call at 678-546-3382 or visit crlcontracting.com for more information. CRL Contracting. We build breweries. crlcontracting.com.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out. Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. BeerGuysRadio.com is our website, and we are talking to the crew from Cherry Street Brewing. We have got, of course, Nick Tanner, who is the proprietor here. And we've also got, of course, Chris Williams here and Johnny Bradley, part of their brewing crew from Cherry Street Co-op. So thanks again for joining us. Thanks for having us here today. Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. So glad you guys can make it up here today.
Definitely.
Nick, we appreciate it a lot. Like we mentioned a little bit in the first segment, you had your Beer Fest this past weekend, and on the heels of a big expansion here. So
absolutely.
The festival was a success, I assume.
Huge success.
Excellent. So
in hindsight, it was nice having you guys up after the Beer Fest instead of filming out the Beer Fest.
Yeah, it can be a little bit crazy at times, right?
It was a little bit crazy. We definitely had probably more than 2 times as many people show up as we expected. So
it's not a bad problem to have, though.
I saw Nick in passing a couple times. Yeah. He just kind of zoomed past.
Kind of cruising around. Like, I got to get some more
tunnel
beer.
Vision.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of fun to do it in that lively environment of a beer fest, but it is hard, especially if you're the one running the beer fest, to sit down for 30 minutes or an hour and chat with us. So
yeah, when you called me up a few days before and said that there may have been a scheduling conflict, this works out drastically better.
There you go.
You're much more relaxed. You're hanging out. We got a couple beers. We're good to go. So definitely. So well, cool. Well, again, it's interesting that we talked to you last time. Really, almost a year ago, I think you came to our studios to chat with us. A lot of things have been going on with you guys. Like we just said, the expansion, the party. Just tell us what's new with you guys.
Well, the biggest thing for Cherry Street Brewing right now is we just completed our 3rd or 4th or 5th final expansion now. We have taken over...
Did you say that after the first, second, and second, and third as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a continuing process, but it's good because you actually got some room to move. It looks like in this area too. So not anymore.
Years ago, before we opened the restaurant, my dad and I stood in the parking lot of the shopping center and said, we could open a beer hall right here and have the brewery and the music hall. And his vision was a little bit different than my vision back then, but it's all come together really well over the years.
Okay.
But back in March, St. Patrick's Day was our grand opening of our expansion. We doubled our space, straight up. We doubled our seating capacity for the tap room. which was much needed. We've allowed us to double our barrel aging capacity. So over the past 2 months, we've brought in Jamaican rum barrels. We got white wine and Pinot Noir barrels from Napa. We've got bourbon barrels. We just have kicked it up. Even today, we filled up rum barrels today with our Imperial Porter to make coconut porter. Very, very exciting. And then lastly, with the expansion, we will, by the end of this year, double our brewing capacity, which sounds like a lot, but for our size, doubling's always a good thing.
That's what I was going to say. No matter your size, if you double it, that's a big increase,
yeah, exactly,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So we added 2 more fermenter tanks. That's going to be primarily for distribution beer. That will allow us to now spread our wings through all of Georgia. So we have signed with a new distributor called Modern Hops, and this we're working with this distributor to take us all the way to Savannah, Augusta, Columbus, Macon, all over that people have been wanting it, and now we can finally get it out there. So next month in June 8th, we're doing a tap takeover in Augusta at a place called The Hive.
Yep.
Really excited to go out to Augusta for the first time. Into middle of June, we're going to be down into Savannah. We're even going to be onto St. Simon Island. So really, really excited to finally get Cherry Street beer across Georgia.
So
That's awesome.
You're keeping Chris and Johnny busy then, right? You get some extra overtime?
Definitely.
Yeah. You guys have some overtime then coming to you, right?
Certainly.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Yeah, the Modern Hops guys, I met them at your festival, when they were pouring beer in the VIP section. Nice guys. They seem very passionate about craft beer.
Extremely passionate about craft beer, and they've been entrepreneurs, and they've owned their own businesses throughout the years. However, they are avid beer traders, and they're looking at what these other breweries across the East Coast are doing in terms of their distribution model. And they said, we can do that, and we want to do that with Cherry Street. And we believe in their philosophy. Our philosophies are very similar, and they just want to spread good beer. And I mean, that's what it's about. It's not talking about high volume, but it's talking about high quality.
Right.
And they were able then to bring in some other fun beers from the East Coast for our beer festival. So we're going to be sampling one of the sour beers that they brought in from North Carolina here in a little bit. So they're just great guys, good group of guys. So we're really looking forward to the end of May, beginning of June, and finally get Cherry Street through all of Georgia.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's funny because, we always talk before the laws passed, before SB 85 finally passed, it almost was framed as a battle between breweries and distributors. But that's not necessarily the case. Distributors are necessary for your expansion, for the entire craft brewery industry because, heck, you don't want to be having trucks and stuff like that around to do your own distribution. So it's important to have a good distributor and maker partnership with that.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately at the same time, Georgia has the strictest 3-tier system in the country, which has led to Georgia being the last state now in the country that you can actually go and buy a beer at a brewery, not a brew pub like us, but a brewery. So that law should be changing here September 1st for the breweries. Governor Deal should be signing that on Monday, I just heard.
Hopefully.
Because I was going to say, he's only got about a week left to get that signature on there.
I just got the email that Monday should be the signing.
Okay.
And it'll actually allow the breweries in this state to be on an even playing field with North Carolina. I mean, with what the breweries are doing up there and everything. Sure. And so the 3-tier system is extremely positive and negative at the same time. And no, we don't want to be owning a fleet of trucks and be dealing with trucks and drivers and those types of things. However, on the flip side of things, we're in a nice little multi-development here with these other restaurants and whatnot, and if a restaurant across the street wants a keg of beer, it's not the easiest thing to get them a keg of beer. And
right.
So there's positives and negatives in it all. However, we like to brew beer, and that's what we're good at. Sure. So we're going to stick to the brewing side, and we're going to let Modern Hops
take care of it.
There you go.
Well, that's something I've noticed reading in some of these other states where they do allow self-distribution, and it may just be the fact is how you're set up there before you start your brewery, because the states where self-distribution is allowed, a lot of them like it, and they even want more freedom to do that. We were out in Denver at Mockery. I know you Colorado guy there, so we were at Mockery, great brewery.
Oh yeah.
And they said, they run their actually, didn't I run into you at Mockery down there?
We did.
So
we did.
yeah, so that's right. But they take their beer around. They load up a truck and take it to the locations they want to. They don't have to mess with a distribution partnership and that. So
there's a lot of positive and negative to it either way. Like, I was in Asheville a couple years ago, and I was at a beer shop and talking to the owner there, and he made some kind of backwinded comment that, like, he writes 100 checks a day.
Wow.
He writes a check to every brewery that comes in, and he pretty much made a comment that was like, man, wouldn't it be great if I just wrote one check to, like, a distributor that brought in 20 beers?
Right.
And so, like, it's up and down.
Pros and cons, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, so different business models for different folks, I guess. So got a couple minutes left in this segment before we have to go ahead and take a break. But, it's interesting. We had Hop Alley on a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the Alpharetta, North Fulton, Forsyth County beer scene. And you two guys with Hop have been kind of the stalwart so far, but it seems to have been kind of growing. We've had Barley Garden, of course, just opened. How is the beer scene here in this neck of the woods here in Georgia?
Well, the beer scene, when I wrote my business plan years ago, I call this area the go out on a limbers. They're willing to try new things.
Okay.
They're accepting of new things. However, if they find something that they don't like or it turns them off, then they regress further back.
Interesting.
And that's something that we've worked really, really hard on. We've converted a lot of beer drinkers in this area, or we've converted a lot of alcohol drinkers to our craft. And that's been a very, very proud thing for me. There's a gentleman that eats in our restaurant probably 5 or 6 days a week, and he came in, started drinking our Dillon's Double, a Belgian double. He was a red wine drinker, and now he's on to the coconut porter, and he tries all these other things. And he said, I never drank beer before coming in here, and now I'm drinking these Belgians and drinking your coconut porter. And he goes, it just has to be presented the right way. It's all about presentation.
Awesome. Nick, we need to take another quick break. We're going to talk to you some more. You listen to the Beer Guys radio show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I'm Josh Rachel. I'm the co-owner and brewmaster at Jekyll Brewing, and you're listening to the Beer Guys radio show.
The Beer Guys are back right after this.
There is something in the air in Kennesaw. I'm sure you've noticed it. It is the sweet, sweet smell of barbecue permeating from The Nest, a new barbecue and beer restaurant in K-Town. The Nest is your new restaurant if you really love barbecue. Ribs, brisket, chicken, oh my. Did we mention the bar? The Nest of Kennesaw offers 49 taps of craft beer and an amazing bottle list as well. It's quite simple. If you really like barbecue and craft beer, you have to visit The Nest. Barbecue and beer in Kennesaw, near historic downtown on Cherokee.
We are Reformation Brewery, celebrating the reformer in you. Locally crafted within the renowned Etowah watershed of Woodstock, Georgia, Reformation creates yeast-forward brews full of aroma and flavor crafted to last. Come see us in beautiful Woodstock, Georgia, for a tour and tasting of unique brews that you can't find anywhere else. Reformation Brewery, set beer free. ReformationBrewery.com.
If you're into craft beer, you need to check out Drink This Beer. It's a podcast from the creators of Beer Guys Radio. Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams talk to some of the best and most important brewers across the country and the world. So if you like to drink beer, pull up a chair and crack open the Drink This Beer podcast. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Morgan and Lisa with Your Pie Perimeter here. We'd like to invite you to our store for a beer.
Is there anything better than pizza?
Yep. Brick oven pizza that's made fresh and paired with a cold craft beer.
That's what you get at Your Pie Perimeter, located in the Perimeter Place Shopping Center by Perimeter Mall.
It's the perfect place to relax on the patio with a pint after work or bring the family in.
Follow Your Pie Perimeter on Facebook for all our beer events and specials, including beer tastings that you won't find anywhere else.
That's Your Pie Perimeter, located in Perimeter Place Shopping Center next to Chipotle. Tell them that the Beer Guy sent you.
Ahoy there, mateys! Hunting whales? We've got you covered with Tim's Whale of the Week.
Yar, Tim, it's time for some whales.
So we got some good stuff this week, Aaron. So for those that do not know, Shelton Brothers is back in Georgia.
Thank you, Liberator.
And that was big news. Yes, thanks to Liberator, another great distributor. Talking about good distributors that are craft-friendly. Liberator is another one that is, and they worked with Shelton Brothers. They've trickled some of their brands in.
Yes.
But we had a big hit recently. You know, we've got stuff like Cantillon, Dry Fontaine, Jolly Pumpkin, 8-Wired, all that. And they've made some appearances at some of the beer bars around. The Porter Brick Store, Argosy, just earlier this week. Well, some of the bottles are making it out to the shelves.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So when you're out there shopping, I saw some Dre Fontaine and Oud Goose was out there. Some of the 8-Wired stuff. That's the Whales of the Week. Look for them Shelton Brothers beers because they have some really, really good stuff. You want to get those. And Prairie had some releases hit. Prairie Paradise, they have one called Pecan. And so those are our whales this week, Aaron.
That's a fantastic section of whales. So looking forward to that. Shelton Brothers Festival, of course, is coming to Atlanta
August.
too. We'll talk to those guys. Hopefully we'll get Jason and those guys from Liberator on and talk about it sometime.
Be a good time. So, Aaron, I wanted to, something we announced on our social media today. So just real quick, friend of the show, no longer friend of the show, but that's not a bad thing, Brian Hewitt.
Yes.
Brian has officially joined the Beer Guys radio team. He's our field operative. So Brian helps us out with all the stuff that, he helps us fill in all the blanks there. So Brian had a question. He's here hanging out with us. So Brian, why don't you ask these guys your question you had there earlier?
So I was curious about your brewing schedule. How do you have a ton of beer here in your tap room, and you're going to have to you're supplying beer out to the market, and you're going to have to supply the entire state at some point. What's your brew schedule like right now?
It's full.
It's full.
Easy enough.
Full.
It's full. You know, I think we're all product of Tetris here, and I could say it's a Tetris. It keeps us going.
Yeah.
We're brewing pretty much every day during the week, but we've got a really nice schedule here. We work Monday through Friday, about 8 to 6 every day, and we keep it real here.
Now, how big's your brew house right now?
We're a 10-barrel brew house.
Okay, and that's an upgraded. You started with a smaller one, right?
We started with a 3-barrel brew house.
Okay.
And the guys next to me can rightfully admit that we took that system out to the pasture.
Yes. So, guys, what did you say when Nick said?
Put away wet.
When Nick on his 3-barrel brew house said we're going to have 25 beers on tap? What did you guys think about that one?
I thought he was crazy, but
has that changed? You still think no?
Yeah, but I think it must be the nice thing. You know, you've got so many beers on tap. You've got so many things that are being released. It kind of keeps it interesting for you guys.
It's never boring.
Yeah.
One of the great things about working here is how many different styles we do. Today we brewed a Belgian-style triple. Next week we're brewing a beer to guard, which actually I've never brewed before, so this will be very interesting. It's a style that I love. I'm just not that familiar with brewing it, so it's like I said, it's never boring here.
Yeah, and speaking of never boring, we just cracked open one of these by the break. Chief Sonny Stash, the Coconut Porter, probably one of my favorite Cherry Street beers that you guys make. It's fantastic. So thank you for sharing with us. I appreciate
that. Coconut Porter is our first year-round bottle release, package release. We've done a few rounds of bottles into these 500-milliliter formats, but we've made a solid decision last month when we were at the Craft Brewers Conference in D.C. in April and said Cherry Street needs to go to cans.
Yeah.
So we are working extremely diligent right now on getting cans going. So we're hoping to have some cans going either the last week of June or the first week of July. And Coconut Porter will be in cans, and then we're working on our first our summer seasonal, which will be our Watermelon Blonde Ale.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for Cherry Street cans in the market starting July.
You're going to try and wedge a canning line in here? Or you're going to be working with one of the mobile canning partners there? So
I think we're going to start off mobile was the plan and kind of work our way into getting our own system.
Okay.
We were just out in Washington at the Craft Brewers Conference a few weeks ago, and we did a little shopping, so we've got a couple of things in mind.
Okay. You're just going to keep taking over the this side of the strip
monopoly,
here, just keep moving down?
Keep taking over
that sounds good.
Okay. There you go.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
So, Nick, I have a question about this one. It just says Coconut Porter now. I think I mentioned this to you before, but I don't know. It was Chief Sonny Stash Coconut Porter. Is this a different or a rename on this one?
It technically is a rename. We, up here in the brew pub, Chief Sonny Stash got its name from the biggest thing in Forsyth County, which is Sawney Mountain. And Sawney Mountain Porter was the name of our year-round porter, which back in January we actually retired. Our first beer we've ever retired in 4 years was our regular porter.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. We just have too many beers going, and our regular porter just kind of really just was our least selling beer. So we decided to, Chief Sonny Stash Coconut Porter to us was a little too much. Most people refer to it as coconut porter. Most menus, most distributors, most people just really refer to it as coconut porter.
Yeah.
Chisani Stash just really gets cut off of that. So what we decided to do is really take the name Chisani Stash and make it our Imperial series. So going forward, you'll see Chisani Stash as our Imperial Coconut Porter, and then we're going to do different additions to it. So the first one we did a couple months ago had sweet cherries and cocoa nibs in it, as well as the coconut dates and vanilla bean. The next one that is going to be on the production schedule will probably have some coffee infused into it. We'll do a coffee version of it. So we're really going to use Chisani Stash as the stash, as that.
There you go.
Did you say whale? Georgia whales there, right? Whales, bro. So
as the Imperial version.
Let us know. We'll put it on the whale of the week when we get there. So yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll know.
Yeah,
you'll absolutely know.
You know, and here's the great thing about the coconut porter is that, again, it's got a lot of coconut flavor in it. It's the Death by Coconut from Oscar Blues. If you haven't had it, it's very similar to that, where it just, you know, I hate to get beers that say that they're one thing, but they just don't necessarily come through that flavor.
Absolutely.
This one knocks you in the face with coconut, and it's just a fantastic combination with that.
You know, Aaron, your comparison to Death by Coconut, this is my take. Death by Coconut, to me, has a suntan lotion kind of coconut taste to it. This tastes like a rich, toasty coconut.
You're right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's, and a lot of people.
Toasted
yeah.
In-house. In Tanners.
Yeah, there you go. So that's, and you can tell it. Now, Death by Coconut is still a tasty beer. It's just that it reminds me of that. And there's a lot of people that absolutely love it because it does have big coconut.
Yeah.
For me, this is more real coconut. And
I would agree, yeah.
Right?
The dates and the vanilla beans kind of round out this.
Okay.
Coconut.
See? Man,
There you go.
I'm loving this beer even more as
Listen,
we talk about
we're
it here.
geeking out
right?
as we do it.
Good
Exactly.
stuff. Awesome.
So now you've got a pretty, like you said, we talked a little bit about your barrel aging program as well. Right behind us, we've got a bunch of different barrels going on. Talk to us a little bit about what's coming up for you guys. What are some of the barrel aging goodies that we can see?
Well, just to start it off, we're extremely proud of everything that we are doing here at Cherry Street Brewing. And the beers that we're putting out for our normal tap selection, they're just trucking along.
Yeah.
We're confident in our brewing process. We're confident in what we're doing. 99% of the time, those beers are just gonna come out pretty dang well.
Yeah.
If not exceptionally well, but pretty dang well. The barrel aging aspect of our brewery is that fun, exciting, challenging, risky side of things. So it actually allows us to just get back to the fundamental. Why did we get into this? Is because it's challenging. I mean, the whole point of this is to make something new, make something different, make something that stands out. And that barrel aging component to our brewery allows us to do that. So not every barrel will make it to a tap or bottle. About 10% of the barrels will actually get dumped. We taste every single barrel. We blend different barrels together in samples to make sure that they're what we want in the end. Actually, yesterday we tasted about 25 of these barrels right behind us. And there's a handful of them that aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
But that's due to the barrel, all different types of barrels. We just got in a handful of bourbon barrels, some Heaven Hill, Wild Turkey, Jim Beam brand barrels. And these barrels come from all walks of life, different heights in the rick houses and different environments. And by the time they get to us, they may or may not work well.
Yeah.
But barrel aging beer is more of an experiment. And so now this is a project for us. The brewery, it goes.
Yeah.
But barrel aging is a project.
It's a much higher degree of difficulty, and it definitely keeps us on our toes.
So, and you said it's almost like a vulgarity, almost like an art type of thing. It's like you'll know it's ready when it's ready. If it's not good, you're going to have to dump it. But again, it's just kind of a luck of the draw thing sometimes.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest question we get. Oh, how long is this beer going to sit in a barrel? Well, I don't know.
It'll tell us.
I can tell you what I wanted to, how long I wanted to sit in the barrel, but it really tells us. And one of the favorite beers from all of us here is our Dame beer, and our Dame beer is an Imperial Strong Scotch Ale. And
you know what, Nick? Let me get you. We got to take a break, but I want to talk more about Dame beer, so I don't want to cut you off again. We're listening to the Beer Guys radio show. We're talking to Cherry Street Brewing, and we'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, this is Taylor Lamb with Oconee Brewing Company, and you're listening to Beer Guys Radio.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out, Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Have you ever thought about owning your own brewery, but don't know what it takes to get one built? We're CRL Contracting, and we build breweries. We are the most experienced contractors in the state of Georgia when it comes to building new breweries and tap rooms, or expanding current breweries. If you've been to Orpheus, Second Self, or Scofflaw, then you know what kind of work we can do. Just give us a call at 678-546-3382 or visit crlcontracting.com for more information. CRL Contracting. We build breweries. crlcontracting.com.
Morgan and Lisa with Your Pie Perimeter here. We'd like to invite you to our store for a beer.
Is there anything better than pizza?
Yep, brick oven pizza that's made fresh and paired with a cold craft beer.
That's what you get at Your Pie Perimeter, located in the Perimeter Place Shopping Center by Perimeter Mall.
It's the perfect place to relax on the patio with a pint after work or bring the family in.
Follow Your Pie Perimeter on Facebook for all our beer events and specials, including beer tastings that you won't find anywhere else.
That's Your Pie Perimeter, located in Perimeter Place Shopping Center next to Chipotle. Tell them that the Beer Guys sent you.
If you really like craft beer, the Stout Brothers Smyrna Beer Market invites you to their store. Not just growlers and craft beer, but everything you need for backyard barbecues and tailgating is available at Stout Brothers. Big Green Egg, accessories, local meats, cheeses, sauces, pickles, and more. If the gang's plans involve your backyard this weekend, you gotta visit the Stout Brothers. Stock up today and get ready for life. It's quite simple. If you really like craft beer, you have to visit the Stout Brothers Smyrna Beer Market in the Smyrna Market Village.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Want some advice? Well, yeah. Well, here's all you need to know. Class is nothing before 11. Beer, it's your best friend. You drink a lot of it. Women, you're a freshman, so it's pretty much out of the question.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. BeerGuysRadio.com is our website. Hanging out with a crew from Cherry Street Brewing Cooperative, Nick Tanner, Chris Williams, and Johnny Bradley hanging out with us. And you know what? We're drinking one of my more favorite beers from you guys. It's kind of it's an elevating thing. It's like less or more. It's still fantastic. This is your collaboration you did with some friends of ours at Cherry Street, or with Lincoln Fill Station. So Tiny and Brad. Did they come up with this recipe, or they just kind of glom on with your stuff?
This is it's the definition of collaboration.
Okay, good.
They showed up one day with a Bell Mead bourbon barrel and said, "We want to brew something in this. We know you can brew some stouts. We want a stout so thick that a spoon will stand up in it." And
this is the
got with my guys and said, "We can make this happen."
There you go.
And they wanted some sort of chocolate cappuccino stout-ish, and we decided to cut the coffee out of it and make it a triple chocolate beer. So it's got cocoa nibs, milk chocolate, and dark chocolate in it. And it was aged for a little over, I think, 9 months.
I think so.
With nibs in the barrel.
With the cocoa nibs in the barrel.
All right.
For about 9 months. And we debuted this beer at the ACAT, Atlantic Cask Ale Tasting Festival, back in January 2017. And we are honored and delighted to have taken first place in People's Choice and first place in Judge's Specialty with this beer. And all thanks to Brad and Tiny for just randomly showing up one day, dropping off a barrel, and
those
saying,
guys just showing up.
Showing up. It's like, hey, I got a barrel. Exactly. That's pretty funny.
You know, Nick, I brewed a triple chocolate porter one time in the middle of a tornado. So it's it didn't come out. You talk about having to dump beers. It turned into just like gasoline. I don't know what happened to it, but the story was fun.
Try it again.
There. So yeah,
exactly.
So this is really nice. I mean, lots of chocolate. There's some booziness here. If you like a little warmth and booze in the beer, this delivers. But it's not too hot. You know?
Well, you're drinking out of a bottle that we just did. To I guess segue into another thing I want to touch upon real quick is for our beer festival this past weekend, we gave all of our VIP members one of these bottles to take home with them, and that meant a lot to me. We want to be able to start giving giving out our barrel-aged beers more, and I thought this was a perfect setting to be able to share this beer. We don't have a lot of it, so we knew we couldn't do this as a bottle sale release because we don't have that much. But for the VIP members who came and hung out with us at our beer festival, real happy for them to take a bottle with them home. The beer festival this weekend was a huge success. We were hoping for last year we had about 1,000 people show up. We had about 1,600 people show up this weekend. It was from 2 to 8 o'clock, and it was a fundraiser primarily for the Humane Society of Forsyth County. Our goal was $5,000 raised, and we committed when we raised $5,000 for the Humane Society locally. And the Humane Society here in Forsyth County does some amazing things. I think they said that this year they're going to be adopting 2,000 pets,
Wow.
which is that's a huge number of animals to find new homes and everything here. And they're just a great group of people, all mostly volunteer, and I love to work with people who work harder than us, and we work hard. So
I was going to say that's almost an impossible task, I think, with all the beers you guys got going on. So excellent. Well, very cool. I mean, like I said, I was disappointed that I missed the anniversary party, but I'm glad that you got to partake, Tim. And
I am glad as well.
Exactly.
It was a good time.
We're currently working on a festival for the fall. It's not going to be as large as what this is, but it's going to be our what we're trying to call Victoberfest. It'll be hopefully late September. Be a similar setting, but we want to do it a little bit more on the authentic German Oktoberfest setting.
Okay, because you're in Vickery Creek here, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Victober,
okay.
there you go.
I got it now.
Now
okay,
you get it.
I
I
knew
it.
Second.
There you
Okay,
go.
There you go.
I got it, Nick.
And
I was on the same page.
And where we're
with
located, we're very fortunate to have the community around us that we have. This community around us is extremely tight-knit, and everybody looks out for each other. And I would say 80% of our regular business is within about 5 miles from us. So our success is primarily contributed to our community, though we give back to the community for the way that they support us. And the expansion of the tap room is primarily because how much the community supports us, believes in us, frequents us. So we gave them more space here to sit and hang out and enjoy.
Yeah, and I mean that goes back to what we talked about earlier in the show about being a source of community. And when you get that that source of south, when you get that community kind of hub, and breweries, brew pubs really do a good job with that. You can sit down, you can actually have a beer with the guys who made the beer, and just hang out and enjoy that, and just be a gathering place for a community. And it's really kind of a nice way to kind of keep the soul into an area, and it's always good. So it's
Nick,
good
something I meant to mention earlier when we were kind of talking about the brew pub and the setup here, you guys kind of have a unique setup. You're a brew pub, and you have Rick Tanner's restaurant that you're connected with, and the Cherry Street tap room. But the way you've designed it here, although the two are connected, you really have a traditional tap room here where people can come sit down and have a beer.
So I went to college in Colorado, and just the beer in these other communities or these other cities and everything it's a part of the community. I mean, in Fort Collins, Colorado, where I went to college, beer is more important than anything else, and not in an alcoholic beverage type of thing, but in what that beer can do for the community. And it's a social thing. It raises all sorts of awareness for environmental, and man, it just strives on that term, sense of community. And so that's what Georgia, my opinion, Georgia's the last frontier in this country with establishing that beer community. And Atlanta, everything's about to change. It's about to get amazing, but we're all still holding on for dear life because it's going to be a big change for a lot of people. A lot of consumers, a lot of customers aren't really understanding what's going to happen with this change, and it's going to be amazing.
But we've already seen the floodgates almost open, even with the announcement. It's not official yet until the governor signs, of course. But, Tim, you keep track of all the brewery openings and whatnot in the Georgia area. It's been big over the past few months already, yeah.
I just updated our Georgia brewery map. It's got breweries, brew pubs, cideries, and meaderies on it. And we have, if I remember correctly, there's 78, because there's a couple I didn't know about when I put it out. So we have 78. There's 24 in planning to open before the end of this year. So
which is the largest thus far.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if everything we've had 11 open so far this year. All of last year we had 10. So just a few months into the year we've had that. So We've got 24 more scheduled to open. Lots of good things going on.
Definitely. Cool. Well, Nick, Johnny, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today on the Beer Guys Radio Show. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Definitely. All right, well, let's get into our hot list.
Time for the hot list. The Beer Guys have the scoop on what's going on next week. Brought to you by CRL Contracting. We build breweries. CRLcontracting.com.
That's hot.
All right, Tim, do you want to go ahead and go first on your hot list?
You got
it.
You got it? Lots of good stuff going on in Georgia, always. So today's a busy day. If you tuned in last week and you heard what we were talking about coming on Saturday, we've added even more. Check it out. Go to our website. You can get the full list of events on our beer events calendar. So, but some hot events for this week. On Tuesday, Summits University at Summits in Snellville. They look at some beers, really discuss and learn and pair it with a meal. So we've got Summits University there. On Thursday, we have our pint night at Your Pie Perimeter, where they have a featured pint for only $3.14. We also have the Shepherd's Men kickoff event with Jekyll Brewing, and that's at Local 3. So we've on Saturday, next Saturday, a lot going on. We have the BAMO Homebrew Competition at the Marley House. There's the Athens Homebrew Classic. Schmaltz is having the Shebrew Celebration of Women at the Beer Growler Avondale, and Schoolhouse celebrates their 3rd anniversary.
Awesome. Lots of cool events.
Hey, congrats, Thomas.
There you go.
Yes.
That's it, exactly. Well, in Alabama, we've got a lot of things going on, too. If you like Moody Tongue Beer, of course, they're a new brewery out of Chicago. They're just opening up or just expanding into the Alabama area, and they've got about a gajillion events going on Tuesday and Wednesday in Birmingham. So Jared Rubin, the head brewer there, he's going to be basically busy running around with his head, like a chicken with his head cut off, because he's got about 5 events on Tuesday and Wednesday going on there. So check that out. Also in Huntsville, Wish You Were Beer, Campus 805, Wednesday and Thursday having a Mill Creek tasting. So that's one of the new distribution breweries out of Tennessee. And a big one, of course, coming up on Friday, starting Friday in Huntsville, the Rocket City Brew Fest. That's going to be a kicking off on Friday and continuing through the weekend next weekend. So get your tickets. It's a great fest. We were there last year.
I can't make it this year, but I'd love to go to that one.
But it's really good.
Yeah.
So full list of events, like you said, Tim, check out beerguysradio.com. Now, though, it's time for a giveaway to give away.
We've got a winner this week, Aaron, as we do every week.
I like that.
And our winner this week of the swag pack, we've got Beer Guys swag. We have swag from a bunch of breweries. It's just swag all over the place.
Oh, all of them. Swagalicious.
And our winner is Andrew Block.
Nice.
So, Andrew, thank you for subscribing, following along with us. Drop us an email to beerguys@beerguysradio.com, and we'll get you a swag pack out.
Definitely.
So, Aaron, if others want to join in the fun and get their name in the hat for a swag pack, how would they do that?
Super easy. Just visit beerguysradio.com, sign up for This Week in Georgia Beer, and you'll get a weekly newsletter with all the happenings in Georgia Beer. And, of course, you'll be entered to win that awesome weekly swag pack. So we've got another show coming up. Yes, we do, next week.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
That's the
exactly.
Plan. You sound surprised when you said that.
I do. I just on my nose, I forgot who we're going to have on the show next week, so I wasn't sure.
We've got Torch Top next week.
Right. We've got Torch Top.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another awesome brew pub is coming on, and they'll be in the studio, so very cool. So check that out. Also, check us out at beerguysradio.com, and we're also on the socials. So we'll talk to you next week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're on demand via iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Always online at beerguysradio.com. Aaron and Tim are back next week with more about the amazing world of craft beer. Cheers. The Beer Guys Radio Show on the Beer Guys Radio Network. beerguysradio.com.